What's up, guys? Will Royall here. Today we're going to be talking about the real cost of ticketing sponsorships. And I wanted to start out with some unique insights into ticketing companies in the music events business. Ticketing companies have gotten really good at lending money and hiding it under the guise of sponsorship and advances and prepaid royalties, especially in the music business. Their delivery vehicle is this ticketing technology software, right? And most of the time, these initial loans hold the equivalent annual interest rate of 100 to 175%. Now predatory lending is illegal in most states, yet ticketing companies are getting away with it by hiding it under the guise of sponsorship. And these sponsorships, advances, royalties, loans, basically, that's what they are. They're not real sponsorships. You're going to pay back that sponsorship money tenfold in the form of fees. True sponsorships don't ever have to be paid back, right? And understanding the cost of this money to your business and the rate of interest on these loans is really important to growing a successful music events business. There are other sources of money out there at much cheaper rates, right? And there are other options for ticketing that charge zero ticketing fees. So let's jump into an example. This is a real example of a music festival deal with Eventbrite. It's a 4-year deal. The music festival will remain unnamed. But this is an Eventbrite deal, and the term of this deal was for 4 years, right? So most of the time, these ticketing companies, to give you this money up front, they're going to require a multi-year deal. They also required to use Eventbrite processing, which was 3%, pretty standard in the ticketing industry. And the ticketing fee in this case was 10% capped at $10 per ticket. The upfront amount that they provided the festival was $30,000 and also promised an annual bonus of $1,000 for every $35,000 above a net minimum amount of $525,000, right? So the prepayment for royalties in this case was zero. It didn't take any royalties, although sometimes that's included as well. And the average ticket price on this festival was, let's say, $200, average music festival ticket price. What I want to be sure that you are clear on, though, is that the average price after fees, after we add this $10 per ticket and we add the credit card processing, is $216, right? So that is the price that the customer must be willing to pay to attend the event. They have to be willing to pay $216. A lot of the times we hear that an event organizer or promoter is going to pass the fees on to the attendees. So I'm not paying the fees, so what does it matter anyway, right? But the truth is, if they're willing to pay $216 to go to your event, anything that you don't collect or keep of that $216 is money lost to you, right? Because they were willing to pay it and you didn't get to keep it. So it doesn't matter if you price it at $216 and you pay the fees, or you price it at $200 and the attendee pays the fees. Either end, the price they pay is the same and the money you walk away with is the same. So ticket sales, let's say this festival for 4 years does $800,000 the first year. They do pretty well. And we could change this number to $525,000, right? If that was the minimum, and all the numbers change. I don't even want to get into what would happen if you didn't pay or didn't make the minimum in revenue, right? Then you have to start paying these monies back and the losses become significant. So let's say that this festival, let's assume they're doing well. And in fact, they are growing. So $100,000 more in year 2, $1 million in year 3, $1.1 million. They're growing by $100,000 a year. So in fact, they're reaching these bonuses. Yay, good for them. They're getting bonuses. Awesome. So if I take the revenue per year and I divide it by the ticket price, this is the number of tickets per year that they must be selling to hit those revenue amounts, right? And so the Eventbrite fees, the way they're calculating it off of this 10% capped at $10 plus the credit card, or excuse me, not including the credit card, would end up being $10 times the tickets, right? So these are the fees associated with those years. And these are the credit card charges, the 3%, right? And I want to show you and point this out, which is that Eventbrite is actually hiding a little bit more of a fee inside this credit card charge. So this is not an additional fee here. This is just showing you that if you were to go get your own credit card processing, most likely it'd be around 2.5%. And so Eventbrite's making a half a point here in the way of fees hidden inside this credit card charge that they are charging you. So these really also belong to Eventbrite, right? And this column right here is just showing you what the total fees that Eventbrite is making off of your business divided by the 12 months in a year, what that looks like, okay? So they're making approximately $3,667 per month in the first year off of your business. So let's get into the loans, sponsorships, advances, royalties, whatever you call them. They're loans, people. These kickbacks are loans. So the total upfront loan was $30,000, right? And then after that, there's the bonuses. And in this case, the festival was doing well enough to hit this bonus structure. So what I want to point out about these bonuses, though, is that like this $16,000 bonus here, this is on the last day of the agreement. So you didn't even have use of this money during the actual, term of the agreement. And this here you only had use of for 12 months, and this one for half of the time. So the majority of this is not like you're getting the use of these funds up front, right? Like this is the only thing you're getting up front, and this one you get after 12 months. So, it's hard to even look at these as longer term loans. They're really, some of these are considered super short term loans. But for the sake of argument, they're all loans. This is the total amount of money that they're going to give you, $76,000 over the course of the agreement. All right, what's the cost of this agreement? Well, the total fees paid were $304,000. That would be this column with the Eventbrite fees and the credit card charges, right? These two numbers here total $304,000. That's a net loss of revenue to the promoter after I take out what they gave me back, which was $76,000. You've lost $228,000, right? So my total fees minus what they gave me is $228,000. That's a ton of money over 4 years. I don't know what you would do with that much money, but it's a ton of money to have lost out of the revenue to the promoter. And there's other options out there like PromoTix, right? This is a fee-free product, a free ticketing product. You would only pay then in that case the credit card processing of 2.5% with your own processor, right? So maybe $95,000 in total fees. So that's a difference of $133,000 increase in revenue over 4 years. You could buy a rental property with that, right? Like you can do so much more with $133,000. Some of these festivals are not even making $133,000 a year in profits, right? And so what would you do with all that extra money? That's the difference in the companies there. Now, we can look at it a different way too, right? So if we looked at these as loans, we should really look at what the interest rate is. What's the cost of this money to us, right? And most of you know what a high interest rate is. Like none of you would take a loan at 60%, 70%, 80%, right? Our credit cards are not even that high. Our credit cards maybe are 20, 25% if they're on the high side. Most of the time you can get credit cards lower than that. So if we just look at the upfront loan, the $30,000, that's what made us get into this 4-year deal, right? The $30,000 payment. And the payment, the monthly payment, if you look over here, $36.67, we calculated that out on the first year. So if we look at that payment over 4 years to get that $30,000, the interest rate would be 146%. And the total interest you pay is $146,000. That is crazy. Who would take a loan at 146% interest rate? But what about those bonuses, right? We got some bonuses. Maybe that's going to help us out. Let's add them in. Even though, remember, we don't get the use of all those funds up front. Some of them we have to wait 2 years, 3 years before we can get it. But for the benefit of the doubt of the ticketing company, let's say we take all $76,000 they're going to give you over the course of the 4-year agreement. The term is 4 years. The payment here is the average of these monthly payments. So this is the average monthly payment to Eventbrite and fees and expenses that you're going to be paying. And this, remember, this is just Eventbrite fees. This does not include your credit card. So these rates are not being inflated by credit cards. It's 62%. You're still paying 62% interest on a loan, even after you calculate the $76,000. And again, this doesn't take into the fact that you don't even get use of all that money during the 4-year time, right? Because they don't give it to you until towards the end of the agreement. $133,000 in interest paid if you were to look at all monies given to you. That's the cost of all monies in this agreement. That's insane. Guys, I can introduce you to investors in the music business who will give you, I've borrowed money at 12%, 10%, even 8%. If you're a business doing these sorts of revenues, anybody's going to give you money at 10, 12%. There's no problem with that. And you're silly to take 146% interest rate. An investor would not even think you're serious if you presented that as a possible fee to pay them for their money, right? Okay, let's look at another one. This is a music venue, right? This is a real deal, Eventbrite deal. Again, a music venue, 4-year term, 3% credit card processing. That hasn't changed. Ticketing fee in this case was 12% capped at $2.75 per ticket. They also had a 10-cent per ticket fee and an advance recoup fee of $3 on top of that, right? So in this case, they were giving them an advance and collecting it, like they call it a royalty, right? So the annual sponsorship amount was $40,000 and the annual advance was $60,000 that they looked to recoup every year through this fee, right? That's what a loan is, by the way, guys. So this is annual though. So wow, sounds pretty good. $100,000 up front to sign this 4-year deal, and every year they're going to give me another $100,000. I mean, sounds really good. Minimum amount for this deal, $870,000 per year. And let's sweeten the pot because we got to compete with these other ticketing companies. $8,000 for every $174,000 over $870. Great. I love it when you sweeten the pot. Give me an annual bonus on top of my sponsorship and my advance. I can't believe you are giving me all this money. The average ticket price at this venue, $25, right? And again, after adding the fees, it's $31. That's what the customer is willing to pay to go to your event. Anything you do not keep of the $31 is money lost to you and your business, okay? So year 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we've got a growing venue, $100,000 a year, and we could change this and show it not, but I want to make sure that this venue gets some of those bonuses as they're growing their event. The tickets, this is the $25 average divided by the revenue. Remember, the revenue here is the minimum revenue to start with. If you don't make this, you're in deep doo-doo. You got to start paying this money back on top of the fees you paid. You are going to be in deep doo-doo. Number of tickets, 34,800, right? The Eventbrite fees on those tickets. Take that number, 34,800, and multiply it out. Get $3 per ticket, 10 cents per ticket, $275 per ticket in this case. $203,000, 580 in fees, right? I want to show you something real quick. What is that as a percentage of their revenue? 23.4%. This ticketing company, Eventbrite, is making 23.4% in total fees on this deal. Yeah, I thought it was 12%. No. Do the math. Look at the total fees divided by the total revenue. That's how much they're pulling, 23% in fees, okay? Credit card charges, $26,000, all right, in credit card. That's the 3%. Eventbrite's hidden fee, we explained that before, but you could get this at 2.5%. So really, Eventbrite is making a little bit of spread there. That should be added to their take home as well. And as a monthly payment, this is what this venue is paying Eventbrite every month, $17,000. And the better they do, the more they're paying Eventbrite every month. Let's look at the loans. Total upfront sponsorship, advance, royalties, whatever you want to call it, $100,000 a year. In this case, the deal was $100,000 every year. We get it for 4 years straight. Annual bonus, nothing. We didn't hit it, right? The annual bonus was pretty high in this case, $174,000. So 870 plus 174. We didn't hit it year 1 or year 2. We did, however, hit it in year 3, and we hit it in year 4. Again, this money we don't get till 36 months in, so I only got use of this $8,000 for 12 months. This $8,000 I get on the last date agreement. I didn't even get to use it at all. So the truth is, this is the only money I ever got. This money I got for 4 years. This I got for 3. I got for 2. I got for 1. you know, it's hard to say that this is truly a 4-year loan, but we're going to calculate it out that way for the benefit of Eventbrite. The cost of this agreement, total fees, over $1 million. Yeah, Eventbrite loves this deal. They're making $1 million in fees. The net loss to the promoter, $661,000 over 4 years. $661,000. Do you know what you can buy with $661,000? I bet you this venue is not even making that in profit over 4 years. Maybe they are, if they're lucky, but probably not. If they're using a free ticketing company, just look at the savings. $559,000. And this takes into account credit card fees, guys. We are subtracting the credit card processing fees here. This is the difference. $559,000 in increased revenue. That's above and beyond this, right? Because here, this is these are your total fees minus what you were given. You lost $661,000. The difference is $559,000. Huge money, huge money. Okay, let's look at the cost of these loans. Loan amount, $100,000 in year one. I'm going to do something different here. Instead of looking at it over 4 years, they're giving us $100,000 per year. So I'm going to look at each one as a 1-year loan, right? We'll calculate it that way, see what happens. Maybe it's better. $17,000 payment. Okay, that's your fees to Eventbrite. It's still 162% interest rate. Man, 162% interest rate. That is insane. And you paid over the course of the year almost $8,000 in total fees on top of that $100,000. That's, I mean, you know, it's $208,000 in fees. You get $100,000 plus the 107. That's what you're going to get. 17 times 12, 162%. That's insane. And if we look at the cost of all monies, again, most of which you don't get use of over 4 years, but let's do it anyway. $416,000 Eventbrite gave me. It was a 4-year term. The average fees I paid them every month throughout the term, 50% interest rate. $559,000 in total interest fees, whatever you want to call it, paid. That's where this money comes from, guys. That's where this, you know, increased revenue comes from. If you're not taking that money and using a company like Eventbrite with those high fees, you're making this money. This is money that Eventbrite is making off of your ticket buyers. This spread here, this spread is going to Eventbrite. You could be pocketing this money, and don't pay these crazy interest rates. Okay, I don't know. I hope you liked the video. I hope this makes sense to you. Send me questions, comment below. Let me know what you think of this. If you're looking to get some money for your event, I've got investors I can introduce you to. I'm happy to do that. They're not going to be asking for 162%. You know, use a free ticketing product. You don't have to use PromoTix, but use a free ticketing product and borrow money at better rates. This is a business. We're building a business. You need to make real business decisions. It all comes down to dollars at the end of the day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one.